Awesome. Hey, friends. So if you are joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. As we get started and we let people in, if you would drop your name and where you're from, joining us from in the chat, because it's really cool to see everywhere where folks are from. So if you're just joining us, drop your name in the chat and we'll get started in just a minute as we give folks a minute or two to join us because everyone is busy and sometimes being perfectly on time just isn't possible, even for the most organized of us, myself included. So drop your name, drop where you're from in the chat. Feel free to drop your business or a link to your website so we can all do a little networking too. Hello, Alyssa from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's a big place, Alyssa. Tell us more specifically. Amazing. Got lots more people coming in. We're going to give folks one more minute. York, Pennsylvania. Woohoo!
Exciting.
Awesome. Northern Virginia. Hey, Abby. The North Shore. I love it. Great. Thanks for dropping where you're at into the chat. We'll give folks one more minute. We've got an amazing guest today, Adrienna. I'm so, so, so excited. Every time words come out of her mouth, I learn something.
Thanks. I hope so.
Truly, truly, truly. Cool. Well, great. We've got a whole bunch of people here. We're going to get rolling. My name is Mark. I will be your host for today's live learning event. And I'm from the IDO Society. And the IDO Society is today's sponsor of the live learning event. And just a quick note on who the IDO Society is, for those of you who we haven't connected with yet. Our whole goal and main focus at the IDO Society is paid advertising campaigns for businesses in the wedding industry. So let's translate that. It means we help businesses with Google Ads, Meta Ads, which is Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok ads. And we help every wedding business use those ad platforms to turn their advertising dollars into quality leads for their business. And we love, love, love doing it. So if you're using paid ads in any way and we haven't connected, would love to invite you to our website so you can see the different ways that we can help because advertising for the wedding industry is really specific and really complicated. So we want to help as many people as we can. We've got lots of different tools, whether it's done for you or do it yourself. We have lots of options. So with our focus on paid advertising, we don't do web development. We don't do organic social media or things like that. And that's why we invite experts like Adrienna to come in because your advertising campaigns don't live in a silo. You could spend $5,000 a month and have an amazing campaign, but if they click on that ad and get to your website and your website isn't ready to convert them, you'd be wasting your money. So we have invited our friend Adrienna here today to talk about your homepage, and I'm so excited because I mean it when I say it. When I hear her speak, I literally learn something every single time. And so what I'm going to do is actually going to pass it over to you, Adrienna, to introduce yourself because I think it's more exciting than me reading some dumb paragraph. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, share a little bit about your story, and then go right into your content.
Cool. I'll just start with my screen and then I'll start talking.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So I'm Adriana. I own a marketing agency called Ava and the Bee. I have been in the industry since 2009. I was a wedding planning floral company and bridal boutique. It's kind of confusing, but we are all three in one. Just picture you walk into a bridal shop in the front, flowers in the back. Planning at our desk. And I did that for a long time. And I think one of the reasons why I love talking about marketing so much is I'm self-taught. I went to art school. And so for me, this was all things trial and error that I learned for a decade before I started doing this for clients. And now we help wedding vendors and event professionals all around the world with all of their marketing needs.
Amazing. We're so glad that you had that journey and it brought us to us because you rock.
Thank you. All right, are we ready?
Let's do it. Let's dive
Let's
in.
do
We've got so many
it.
great folks from all over the place. I love
Yes.
it.
Perfect. Let's do it. I know we'll have some time for Q&A as well. So if you guys have
We
questions,
will. Yeah.
please note that I will have time to answer the questions for you guys. So we're going to be talking about the homepage specifically because as Mark was talking about, this is one of the most important pieces of real estate you have for ads and then also just in general. Because if anyone's finding you on search or Instagram or any other platform, they're probably going to see your homepage, right? There's almost no way we can hide the homepage. So today we're going to be talking about this specifically. And this is really where it's so important is that every single piece is coming in through. So, website, Instagram, they're all going to your website. And I think it's something where maybe even I would say pre-COVID, let's just use that as the time marker. You could have been a vendor for a really long time and have a really crappy website and it was fine because people were like, "Oh, they're great. I don't the website doesn't matter." We are officially in a stage where aesthetics matter, Couples are savvier, way smarter. They understand everything way more. And so they're going to be looking at things like our website. And if we have a homepage that doesn't convert, especially on mobile, we're going to talk quite a bit about mobile today, running ads, Instagram, paying all this money for a social media strategist, blogging, Pinterest, it doesn't really matter. One of the biggest things we actually tell people at my marketing agency is you're not ready for marketing because your website doesn't back up all of the traffic I'm about to send to you. So we have to really kind of think of it as that first door, that first entrance before we do all of this stuff, before we spend all this money and throw, spaghetti at the wall. So we only have 50 milliseconds, which I don't even know how fast that is. I don't know how fast a blink is statistically, but that's how fast someone's going to have a first impression of your website. That's before they've even read a single page. That is just that instant gut feeling. And as an online shopper, I know you feel the same. How many times have you opened something, immediately for some reason didn't like it, and then closed out? That's why every single thing is going to be so essential because we only really have a few seconds to actually get them to continue scrolling. Because the biggest thing is they're going to land on your website and you're on your homepage, but we want them to scroll, right? We don't want them to just go there and then never come back. So I'm a really big book reader. So we're going to kind of compare your website to a book today your homepage to a book, because I think when we start to see these really long homepages, it gets a little daunting. So we're going to go through everything section by section. And a lot of times I find a lot of times wedding vendors are treating our homepage more like a novel. We're trying to do everything, right? We're like, I want to tell you everything about me and all of my experiences and all of my badges and all of my press and all of my beautiful things. So we're essentially handing someone who just met us this huge novel, and we're like, I need you to read this while standing in line at a bookstore. They're not going to, right? They're just going to put it down, pick up the next one, read the back. So I want us to think about everything is about making them curious to turn the next page. A good book makes you want to keep reading. A bad book makes you go, never again. So we're going to cover today. So I will have at the end a QR code with a workbook. Well, this will be like larger version, like a full page for you to see, because I know it's sometimes a little hard with, depending on your screen size, but we will have this in that workbook. And of course, every homepage might be a tiny bit different. Depending on what you offer, we might add in a section, we might move a few sections around, but the overall bones are pretty consistent because we're thinking of it as a sales structure. So we're going to kind of go over what each of these little sections mean, from this hero, which is that cover, to that storytelling, to if we're going to have any type of press or social proof or testimonials, to that bio, to the services, always more testimonials. You can never have too many testimonials, in my opinion. And then kind of that final call to action, that kind of back cover. So I just want you to think of, as we go through, these are sections that you definitely should have. And like I said, you might have a little bit more or a little bit less, but this is kind of the building blocks of what a solid homepage is going to do for you. So the very first tippy top is going to be the cover, right? The thing that hooks them in. You might have also, in the newspaper terms, heard like above the fold. So back in the day, newspapers, before you flipped it down, that was called above the fold. And obviously, same concept. You're selling something and it needs to have stop in their tracks and a headline that makes them read, something that wants to move on. So that's where we tend to consider, again, you might just have a single image. You might have a video. You might have a slideshow. The design isn't quite as what's important as what is actually on it. And that's going to be a few things. Where are you located? Is this for me? And what do I do next? So as you see for this client, it is simple. Finger Lakes wedding photography and videography team, unique story told in photo and film. It doesn't say documentarian. Let us capture your pretty pictures. Like, we're not using fluffy language in this hero section. You can have some fluffy, as you see, we then go into some fluffy, but we have to make sure somewhere amongst the fluff is a super basic what you do and who you serve. So again, it can be as simple as this, as big as this, it can be a little bit smaller, but we have to have those things immediately so that your audience is like, yes, this is for me. So go to your homepage, part of your homework inside of the workbook is going to be walking you through, but you're going to go to your homepage and I want you to look at those first few lines of text because that might be the only text they ever read. So all the time, whenever we're doing website audits or get an inquiry, I blindly look at your website. So if you inquire with me at avaandthebee.com, I will pull up your website before I look at anything. And if I can't immediately guess what you do, which is like half the time, we have a problem. Because my job is to be an expert. And if me, the expert, doesn't understand what you do, your couple doesn't. Because as wedding vendors, we just put pretty stuff. We're like pretty pictures of pretty people doing pretty things. That doesn't tell me anything. There is a very solid chance you look like a florist right now. Because if your main header photo is just a beautiful ceremony with nothing else, you could be a florist, you could be a venue. I don't know what you are. So we have to make it really clear. So destination photographer available worldwide doesn't tell me anything because I don't know where you live. Compared to San Francisco wedding photographer, intimate elopements and micro weddings. Not only does this have the magical thing called keywords, which is great for SEO, but it's also telling the couple super simply what you do and are you for them. So if you are someone not in San Francisco and having a 400-person multi-day weekend, this is not the right photographer. And that's okay, right? Because this photographer doesn't want to shoot a 400-person multi-day wedding. It's totally okay for us to tell people, I'm not a fit for you. So we want them to be that specific. So this is also a little bit for AI. I'm not going to touch too much on AI, but I know you guys are going to have questions. But 44% of AI citations are coming from that first 30%. So it's for Google, the location, and it's also for our non-human robot friends that we now have to convince we're amazing. So again, Connecticut wedding photographer, and then the fluff, emotional moments, authentic connections. Like we can have the fluff, but we have to have something up here. And this is where a lot of your images or video or whatever you decide to do is a really, really big part of this. So it might not be just one image, it might be a video, but as you see with all of them, we have the really basic at the top, what they are, and then the fluff underneath. I love a video. I'm a big fan of putting video on your homepage if you have it, because it's just, again, it's captivating, right? You probably watch this the whole time and you have no idea who this person is for a second, just because it's captivating. Your images are also going to be a really big part of our website as we go through it. A really big disconnect we see on the homepage especially is we try to throw all the images to appease everybody, but we're not actually appeasing the ideal couple. So these are two homepages of two very different styles. And I hope immediately you understand the styles are different, right? On the left, editorial, posed. She's going to have a lot of flat lays, a lot of shoes, a lot of perfume, a lot of more editorial style. On the right, we would never put a flat lay on this person's website, ever, because their couple doesn't care about the flat lay. Their couple cares about the tears, grandpa walking them down the aisle. They're very different. So I want you to also think of the images. If we got rid of all of the text, could your images tell a story about your company? Or are you just putting things up there because you're like, well, my coach says it's really pretty. No, I want you to really think about what that emotional storytelling that we're going to have with our images, because they can make or break your homepage. You only probably have 10, 15, maybe 20 images with a slider. That's it. So how are we going to make sure those emotionally connect? Next, we're going to talk about that opening hook. So we have that hero. And as you see, some people have somewhat of a fluffy hook at the beginning, some don't. Again, depends on your final style. But then we're going to lead into the storytelling. And the biggest mistake we see people have is this is where you talk about yourself. Immediately you go into, I am amazing. I have 10 years of experience. I have been published. I love love. Your website is not for you. It is for your couples, especially things like the homepage. Your about page, yes, okay, talk about you. Your website needs to be about why they should book you. Your couples don't care that much yet about this point, about you love love. I hope you love love. They care about themselves. This is a selfish purchase, and it should be. This is where you make them feel seen before they even meet you. So I want you to think about what is something that they want to feel that I need to talk about immediately, whether it's over and over again. And I want us to think of the outside of the lines. So instead of having this main section that lives right under their hero, say, we offer full service, stress-free wedding planning. Okay, cool. I hope you offer stress-free wedding planning as a wedding planner. That is the given. They are not actually paying for that. They are paying for an experience, right? So this is immersive, expressive, and 100% you. Your wedding should feel like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Colorful bolts in the beginning of a whole new season. We want gasps and happy dances, and we want you to feel seen and understood in a way you've never felt before. I don't use the word stress free once, but I am painting an actual picture that immediately someone sees that. They see the bold color and they go, yes, I am paying for fireworks on New Year's Eve. So I want you to think of that storytelling of how can we just really paint a really pretty picture without saying, I plan stress free weddings. Usually we like to break this section up because again, it's visual hierarchy. This is where we can then brag a little bit, right? This is where if you have press and you want to show it off, this is where we can have it. It can be logos, it can just be text. I really like text for searchability and AI personally. It can be images depending on, your visual preference. But this is giving that silent I'm amazing without you literally saying, look how cool I am, right? So we're like subtly telling them our coolness without having to be loud. Now, another option is a testimonial here. So if you're someone who doesn't want press this high, you can easily have a testimonial in this section. Pick your strongest couple sentence, right? I don't want a paragraph here. I want like a 1 or 2 sentence best testimonial you've ever had. That's what can go here instead of press. But again, really nice, really simple. I told you a story. I'm cool. Like we're kind of just like giving them the hints. And then we can talk about ourselves for a section. So a lot of vendors don't have anything about themselves on the homepage. And I think this is a really big missing piece because I'm not quite sure why we're not telling them who we are early on, especially if you have a team. Now, this is really big for this client who has a team. And the biggest thing is when you have a team is your website doesn't just have to sell you, but it has to explain why they should pay just as much for someone that isn't you. That's a huge sell. Selling a team is so much harder than selling yourself. So this is where we can bring in that author note, like in a book, right? Like there's a little section in the back about the author, New York Times bestseller. That's where they have the press badges and that's where they have this little bio. And I don't like it to be too high up. As you see, it's kind of in this middle because I don't want to start off with about you. I don't want it to go hero and then why I'm cool. It's like we got to ease them into that. And we just want it to be nice and simple. So again, we are the team you call when your wedding needs to look iconic, feel effortless, and run like a dream. So again, it's like we, but not like we're the best. It's no, we're the people you call. It's confidence. We create celebrations that turn head, drop jaws, and leave your guests raving for years. So think about your bio as not just being like, we have been planners for 47 years. We have this, we have that. Like, think of your bio on your about page. On your homepage as a little bit more that storytelling because your about page is where you can get a bit more granular, a little bit more. And then you'll want some kind of button here that goes to the about section. So if they want to learn more, they can. Next, we're going to go into the services. So as you see, I like to have the services usually for my clients a little bit lower because again, I don't want it to be at the bottom. I don't want them to scroll too far, but I want to have just enough that they can get an idea. Sometimes we'll switch the about and the services. So this is like one of the main sections, like we might flip it and put the about lower. It really depends on the client, but this is one of the most important things. Vendors tend to have, again, the kitchen sink with this like restaurant menu, Cheesecake Factory of here's every service I offer. No, I want you to think about what is the super 1 or 2 sentence max, what that offer is. Click here to learn more. Nice and simple because then your services page is selling it. Your homepage is just getting them to get curious. And I want you to only put the things you want to sell. I work with so many planners who are like, oh, I'm so sick of booking this type of wedding, but it's on their homepage. And I'm like, well, don't have it on your homepage. Like, let's get rid of it if it's not something you want to sell. Another option is you just have one signature service. So I have plenty of clients. So this client does offer multiple planning packages, but the only one we're selling on the homepage is the only one she really wants to book. So we're leading with that idea of this is the signature experience. Yes, we offer small packages, but this is what I'm selling. So you can have it just be 1 or 2. I would say no more than 3. Obviously, some things might be a little bit different if you offer rentals and things like that, that's a different conversation. But for most service providers, even venues, it's not like you have 47 spaces, right? You hopefully only have a few options for them to choose on your property. Another option is if you have locations. These are kind of three ways we can play it, right? You can have multiple offerings, like your top two or three. You can have one, just I plan weddings and I'm cool. Or if you have locations, because this is where a lot of people are like, but wait, I'm a destination. I don't just serve one market, but you just told me to talk about one market. This is where we would then create separate landing pages for each location. This is where that strategy comes in a little bit deeper, where we're like, okay, these are two separate audiences. I'm going to tell them kind of which way to go. And then some kind of featured story. So again, this can be a few different things. This is one of the reasons couples are looking at the website is to see with their own eyes how good you are. Now, again, we don't want to bombard them like a portfolio like social media. This isn't your Instagram page. This is curated, not a photo dump. I don't want more than like 10 or 15 images too. Again, no one's going to scroll that far, especially on mobile, because think about it. Every single thing we add on mobile is stacking. And so if we have a gallery that scrolls down, ooh, that took way too much time. Make sure it goes across or it's really condensed. Because again, I don't want them scrolling through this really long gallery on a homepage and then they never get to the call to action, which is kind of the whole point of this whole thing. So really nice, simple. So one option is a slideshow. Super simple. Every website platform that you have has an option for a nice slideshow. We could also have featured stories, portfolios, or blogs. So this is an option if you blog, portfolio. Again, do you see I don't have a ton. I just have a couple. I don't want to get them too distracted. I don't want them to then dive down a rabbit hole and then I never see them again. I just want to give them the best of the best. So for a florist, it made sense for us to go in this route because she had specific styles she wanted to share. So as you see, we have keyworded Halloween wedding in Long Branch, New Jersey. Simple and keyworded, right? Nice, simple keyword. And then a cute little opulent haunted Victorian mansion, like description. So there's ways that we can just have, a little bit of context, something to give them on it. And then a bigger testimonial section. So kind of towards the top, we're keeping a little bit thinner because again, like I might only have them scroll a tiny bit. Hopefully we've kept them on long enough to scroll to this stage. And this is where we can really show off more. Because testimonials are real words from real couples, and it's the most convincing copy. Nothing else I write will ever be more convincing than testimonial. It's just true. And it's more convincing than you could ever write because it's not you saying you're great, it's someone who paid you saying you're great. So this is also where you can have just a few sentences. Again, you can condense your testimonials. You have my permission. I don't want to read the longest paragraph testimonial. We will have 2 or 3 sentence max, and we always call out the most important part of the testimonial. We just received our art piece, and it's truly a work of art. That is the most important part of that testimonial. Not that she was amazing, because she is, but that, right? So the other part is like, yes, she was responsive and great. It's a really strong testimonial, but I really want you to think of how can I call out those things? And you can have a couple. This is where, again, every website platform offers the ability to have this click through where you have a few different options. You can include a photo of the couple if you want as well. I know some vendors, you don't get a photo of every single couple, but that's an option. But this is really answering that question of, is this worth it? Like, will I be happy that I hired this person? Another tip for the testimonials is have vendor testimonials on there as well. Especially if you're in a market where you work with the same vendors over and over again and you're trying to like get them to also work with them, or maybe you've worked with, prestigious vendors. Vendor testimonials are great, not just for a couple who wants to know, oh, wow, they worked with so and so. I've also been looking at so and so. But it's also great if you're trying to also sell to a planner. Planners also want to see who you've worked with. Like I'm a former planner and it's good for me to know, oh, they've worked with so and so. Like that's good. Or this venue really likes them as a photographer. I mean, my goodness, a venue's testimonial is amazing, right? Because as a photographer, they're like, ooh, I'm cool. So using vendor testimonials, I would say at least one in this carousel if you have it, because again, we're trying to speak to everybody and parents. We know that these younger couples have their parents doing everything right now. Parents want to see other vendors, right? Like that makes them really cool. And then our call to action, simple. This is not where I want us to start adding more paragraphs. I see some call to actions that are so long, these long pitches. No, no, no. Clear, button, pretty button, clear. Like simple invitation to reach out. Because again, I don't want them to get too distracted. I want it to just be like, secure your date. Yes, please. Contact, add to cart. And then our footer. We overlook our poor footer. We think about our nav and we just think about our footer and we ignore the footer. Our footer is working 24/7 because this probably on 98% of websites appears on every single page. Like it is the same on every page typically. So when someone couple visits your site, no matter where they are, they're going to see this. So a few things that are always missing from footers. Your location. Again, simple. Event and wedding planner, Salt Lake City, Park City, Utah. This is also for, I'll see on keywords, but it's also like, I don't know, they scroll down and forgot who you are. Happens to me all the time. Simple, have that. Contact information, I always like to have links at the bottom. Some people, I also tell them to have email addresses at the bottom. Having your links, the most important pages, because your navigation bar, which we'll talk about in a second, we don't want to clutter up too much. Here's the thing for mobile. Make sure this is condensed. Because footer pages can take up so much space. So make sure our footer does not take up half the page when they scroll down, because that's a big thing I see is they have, or your testimonials, like you have all this text and it'll just get big. Your footer can feel heavy on mobile. So just make sure you're like, okay, it's not this in super heavy thing taking up the full bottom, because phones aren't that big. I think we forget how little a phone is. So it's like really trying to condense it. So a few things I want you to remove or not do anymore, please. Pop-ups. Okay, I have thoughts on pop-ups. It really depends on the offer. It depends on your audience, but I don't think on the homepage, right, Mark? You're clapping. I'm like, not on the homepage. Yes, not on the homepage, guys. There are strategies for pop-ups, there are strategies for freebies, there are strategies for funnels. They do not happen, especially when you first hop on. I'm out of that place. Unless they're offering me 100% off, I'm done. I don't want it. Contact forms embedded on homepage. Again, this depends on your strategy. Some people, I think it can work really well. The reason sometimes I don't love it, depending on what your contact form is through, is sometimes the code gets really heavy. It loads too slow on mobile. Honestly, it's kind of mobile is the culprit for this one. It's also a little bit harder to track for us to see like how many people clicked on it to actually fill out. Again, it depends. I'm kind of like 50-50 on the contact page on mobile. It's really case by case, but this is my biggest one. Too many things in your main navigation bar, guys. We really need to make sure that we are keeping that top nav as clean as possible. I don't want to see a million drop downs. I don't want to see 47 options. I want us to clean it up because it's just overwhelming. We need to really herd them into the right direction. So think about how you can make your navigation as simple as possible, to the point. Also, try to keep your navigation bars simple. I'm so sorry, but I hate the word journal for blog. I hate the word, like, guys, it's a blog. Keep it simple. Keep it super simple. It will get clicked on more if it says blog than journal. So just super simple title. And going back to the mobile page, the mobile view is not the secondary version of your website. I think a lot of times we design our website on desktop and then we're like, oh crap, there's a phone involved. For you guys, I can bet lots of money that you are at least 50% or more on mobile. For a lot of you, it's way more. This is like a congregate ad. But these are clients literally pulled yesterday. I mean, that's a pretty big chunk on mobile, right? I have some clients that are like 80, 90%, especially my retail. My bridal shops, 90%. Nobody's on their desktop. So we have to think of it opposite. We're actually building a website for a bridal shop right now. And that was one of the first things I said was, I have to build it on your mobile, not the other way around. Like, this has got to look cute on that. And also, as Mark is going to tell us, ads, obviously ads are going to mostly land on mobile, right? Like, that's where a majority of your ads will land. And so if we are running ads, if we have clients that are on their phone, which we all are, We have to really keep in mind that this is not a secondary website anymore. This is the most important piece of your website now. Okay, sorry, this is a little blurry. We'll blame Canva. But here's a few mistakes and here's kind of how to fix them. So, a few specifics. So, as you see, this is what the thing looks like. We have nice spacing. It's a little bit more compressed on mobile. It has to be. The buttons have to be big. Guys, I'm going to talk about buttons for 1 second. If your button is just an underlined word, it will never be clicked. Buttons have to be boxes or circles or something around them that makes it so incredibly obvious it's a button, no one can be confused. And I know visually, and it is cute. You know what? Your website's not for you. Your website is for the person who's someone's mom who can't click on that button. So, buttons. Also, buttons on mobile. Y'all make the buttons on mobile so little. You make them these teeny tiny little things. And like most people have average size hands and cannot click on that button. So really make sure all the buttons work on mobile. If you use Show It, please, please, please extra check this because Show It, things overlap all the time. And then your buttons don't work because you have a piece overlapping it. Please, Show It is the biggest culprit with buttons. Half the time they don't work and it's just because something covered it. Everything needs to be readable. We also need to make sure the font isn't too small. Guys, again, like I have LASIK and I still sometimes, pull up my readers if I like something's little. Make sure it's really big. Make sure everything is really intentional. Again, it needs to load fast. If you're scrolling a ton and you just have a lot, remove stuff. You have my permission to remove sections on mobile to limit certain amounts of text. Now, here's the thing. Some websites don't make this easy. Squarespace, it has to be whatever's on your desktop. Not the best. But some websites like Show It and WordPress, sometimes with WordPress, we can customize your mobile. So I know not always we can make your mobile a shorter version of your website. I totally get it. But always make sure everything's a little bit more squished. I know we want a lot of breathing room on desktop, and I still want breathing room on mobile, but I don't want it to just take forever to scroll. And as we know, our ad budget is only as good as your mobile view. Because if our website is slow, confusing, doesn't answer those questions, they leave. And guys, this is especially important for those people who might not be familiar with you yet. We have to remember that some of your audience, yes, are coming from social, typed your website in, are so excited they are obsessed with you. We also have a very much larger section that don't actually know who you are. And especially if they're coming in through ads, we are warming them up. So if we're spending money having them flow through this beautiful website, we need to make sure it's clearly communicating the things and not assuming. Do not assume your couple knows a single thing about you. They don't know your name. They don't know what you do. They don't know how much you love toast in the morning. Like, that's fine. It's also super quick. Google. So Google really prioritizes fast mobile websites. So whenever we do website audits and the website on mobile is like insanely slow, I'm like, don't love it. Because this is really something that Google is looking at. It is searching, it's prioritizing fast websites. Final tip for mobile, compress your images on your website in general. Like stop uploading 45 megabyte the photographer original images. Please compress them because especially on mobile, it's going to take a minute to like load. And that's where that galleries thing comes in. That's why I'm not like, I want you to show 4 galleries. No, I want it to be like just a couple images because I'm thinking of load time. I'm like, every image takes a fraction of a second and every second adds up. So that's kind of where we think of it like the bookstore. So if your homepage were a book sitting on a shelf, would they pick it up? Would they turn the next page? Would they buy it? So one fun homework assignment that I love, it's one of my favorites, is I want you this week to send your website to one of your friends or someone you know that's not really in the wedding industry. You know, the one who like doesn't actually know what you do. They're like, yeah, cool. Yeah, that person who doesn't actually know really anything about it. And I just want you to ask them, what do I do? What do I do? I do this all the time with my like with people. I literally send it to my boyfriend, I send it to my friends. I will send clients websites. And that's like one of our ultimate tests when we build is I send it to a group of friends who don't know anything about our world. And I'm like, what do they do? Because if they can't tell me what you do, where you're located, I didn't do my job right. It didn't
Send
work.
it to your mom.
Yes,
Like that's my test. My
yes,
sweet, sweet mother. She has no idea about the internet. And I'm like, Mom, what does this
yes.
mean? And if she can't do
Absolutely. I think of that even with copy, anything we do with marketing. Literally, send it to someone like your mom who doesn't know. And if they don't know, that is your ideal audience, right? Like they shouldn't know. Their job is to not know. Don't send it to your photographer bestie. No, of course they're going to know what you do. And of course they're going to be your friend and be like, it's perfect. No, send it to someone who's going to be like, oh, you make flowers. And you're like, no, I'm a venue. What are you talking about? Okay. Here's your action plan that we are going to find inside of the workbook as well. And then we can get into some questions in a minute. So, first things first, your headline audit. Again, I know I'm harping on this, but I promise this can make or break your homepage. Is it obvious? Send it to your mom. I should send my website to my mom. No, I'm kidding. My mom knows everything about me, but most moms, they don't. My mom is my accountant. That's why she has to know. Audit. Images. Are they your best images? Can they stand alone? Again, ask your mom. Do these images make you feel at all like my brand? Yeah, maybe not. Mobile view. Please test, look at mobile and look at different phones. Another big mistake is we think that our phone is the only phone. When we test, we have multiple people we know with different types of phones, different screen sizes, different browsers. Websites look different on Android than iPhone. It's annoying and I hate it, but it's true. Have someone. I literally even have my mom check on her like little Nokia because my mom, might be paying for a wedding. So like, like their mom might be on an older phone, right? Like we got to be honest. So I have everybody test it and send it to someone and be like, hey, what do I do? Here is that homework I'll leave up. So it's a workbook. It's just a Google Doc because I know we don't want a PDF. It's just a Google Doc. So you can make a copy, type right in, all of that fun stuff.
this is amazing. I love Adrian. I love the concept of like, hey, this is like a bridge to wherever you want to go. And what you shared
Mhm.
are what does that homepage need to look like so people can pick their own journey, basically? Like, is it the testimonials that are important to them? Is it the portfolio? Is it something else in that?
Yeah.
And you did such a good job laying out so many different ways or paths for people to take from that homepage rather than focusing the homepage on your full story about who you are and your background. Like, that may not be for everyone. So I really appreciate what you shared about giving people, here's a snippet of each little thing. That was
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Thanks. Yeah,
Um,
because remember, our homepage is guiding them on the journey, right? It's like a
yep.
front door. Like you walk into someone's home and you're not getting the tour immediately. They're not like, oh my God, let's go look at everything. It's like, would you like a glass of
Yeah.
water? Would you like to
Yeah.
sit down? Like, think of it as hospitality.
I love that. I think about bringing people over to our house. Like typically, if it's a husband and wife, like stereotyping, the wife wants to go see the kitchen, but the husband's like, show me your entertainment room, or you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
your
And so
TV.
it's okay that people have different interests. And if we force them into being interested in one thing, it's not going to match what they want to take, the journey they want to
Absolutely,
take.
which is why I love a homepage because you're giving them a little snippet, like you said, for different audiences. Like
Yeah.
someone's going to go immediately to the about page, but another person might go to like, we don't know their buyer type yet.
Yep.
So we're like, we have to just sell to all of them and then give them all a little option. And
Yep.
then those other pages can then hopefully do the harder selling.
And your QR code there, does it have the visual that you showed in the beginning? Because what we
Yes.
looked at was like lots of different sections. So in the beginning,
Yes.
but it has that like layout so people can see. Okay, that's
Yep.
perfect.
Yep. It
Because I
has that
know,
layout.
yeah, that's perfect. Because I know like as you know, as we're watching this, it's hard to like picture that all put together, but it does have that layout there. Because there's no way to do that to get well on the slide. But yeah,
I
thank
know
you.
it was too small.
That's
I was like,
awesome.
how do I make this work on this way when it's
Yeah,
this
but
way?
no,
No,
it's
it is a full
yeah.
page of the Google Doc. It's just one big page.
I love it. So, you guys, let's drop questions into the chat. We have Adriana's time and attention, and it is super valuable right now. So, we do have a question in the chat. But one
Yes.
thing I wanted to share too before we go to those questions is
Yeah.
one time I heard you say that if you don't differentiate yourself, on your website, then the only thing people have to compare you to your competition is price. And I feel
Hmm.
like you did a great job here of showing people how to differentiate themselves with unique parts of their business and how to do that in an organized way. So, like, kudos to you for saying that because I quote you on that all the time. And I just want people in this meeting to hear about it because it's so important. If your headline of your website doesn't specifically say where you're located and what you do,
Hmm.
people get lost so easy. And then the first thing they're going to ask is, well, how much does it cost? And if your price
Absolutely.
isn't lower than your competitors, you could lose them to the competition simply over the fact that you didn't get their attention in the right way at the beginning of that relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that quote, I love that I said it out loud because I think I use it now too. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I
yeah,
said that one out loud. Your thoughts in your head
amazing.
and it vocally, yeah. But it's true. Like, we
Yeah,
don't want them to only think about pricing. We want you to be different enough that that is not the
yep,
immediate gut action. It's like, oh,
yep,
but wait, they do this too. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's dive into some questions. Mary asks, would you recommend putting pricing on your homepage?
So I love this. So I thought about adding this to the presentation because I think it can help. Yes, I think it depends on your final strategy. So, for example, if you are someone who works with like slightly lower price points, which is not bad. I think that's the best market to be in sometimes, but you work with like more average price points and not this like super luxury or whatever. I think it can be helpful. I don't want you to dive again. I don't want paragraphs. I think it needs to be really simple. Like packages starting at, ranging from, I think can be really helpful. So yes, it depends on the audience for sure, but I would say it's not necessarily a bad thing to have. I don't think it's ever bad to have pricing because for sure on your service pages it should be. I don't think it's bad on your homepage.
Yeah. And we do a quick note on like our world of paid advertising,
Mm.
which is it's a unique silo there. It's not your homepage necessarily, but one thing that we do, especially with wedding venues, is we talk
Ooh.
about pricing on a landing page. And because in the venue space, because it's probably the most expensive part of the check they're going to write, and it's a very like top of their journey, beginning of their journey, talking about pricing on the landing page for a venue is really powerful, and it helps people understand right away, and it gets more quality leads from an ad campaign versus pages that don't talk about pricing because people don't want to give their personal information to a venue if they don't know a range or idea of what it costs. And you don't have to put the whole
Absolutely.
thing on there, but just like an idea of like what's the average couple spend.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Other Mary Angeline is asking footer question for multiple locations. Do you have examples on how you lay out a footer for multiple locations?
Yes. Let me pull that up. I do.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, let me
Yay.
beep beep beep. We can still see my screen, right? I didn't like change
Yep,
this. Okay.
we can see everything.
Cool beans.
Your most personal thoughts. Yay, okay,
Probably
cool.
just pictures of animals and rocks. Okay. Not that, unfortunately, my brain is not that exciting. So, option, explore locations separate.
Yes,
So hopefully we can see. I know it's like, can we
we
see
can
it?
see
But
it.
yeah. So locations can be done in their own little section. That's usually what we do is we would have it under its own like column underneath it. This one is not um this is stationary, but she has a lot of different service options. And in case anyone's also asking, well, what about my service options? Same idea.
Hmm.
So the main, and then these are all her like individual social and corporate planners, crafted, creative. So
That's cool because it visually is separated in your
yes.
eyes. I see like one, two, three, four columns there, and
Yeah.
one of those columns is that separation, whether it's location or services.
Absolutely. Yeah. So location services. So again, like these aren't all in her header. Like the four
Yep.
planners is, four planners. So it doesn't need to be in the main nav, but it needs to live down here.
And I love how you're all, I want to talk about here too, like you are pro footer, right? Like the footer
Yeah.
actually is a really important place because, as internet users, we've been trained that there are things in the footer that are typically always there in the footer. And so it's actually a really useful place. And people may scroll past all the stuff that you wrote and you poured your heart into to get there. But you know
Mhm.
what? If it gets them to the right place at the right time, great. The footer is the place for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Awesome.
love footers and I think they can be cute. Like, as you see, we love designing cute. Like, they're all
Yeah.
different. They're all fun.
That's awesome. Okay, Lauren's asking, I've been published in a few small regional publications. I have them on my homepage, but further down, is it a smart move or should I remove them altogether?
Oh, I would say absolutely keep them. Local publications, I think, are honestly just as strong as the big ones, especially like that shows that you understand your area. That's huge. I think we should be wanting to be on local publications just as much as the big ones. 100%. I think they're great.
Cool. Adria's asking, is it important to have location in the header if it is in the site title?
If you mean site title like SEO, then yes, because technically this is your location is considered an H1 header on the back end, not to get like too technical, but that will be considered an H1 header. So yes, that needs to match your meta title and description. So that like keyword is like, let me go back to hers might be a good one to show. Like Florida Keys wedding planner, like South Florida, like that's her keyword. And so that needs to be yes. Sorry. The answer is yes.
The answer is hell yes. And
It
I'm
needs
gonna
to
I'm
be
gonna
both. We need
advocate
to
for
have it
that.
like multiple
Yeah.
places, which I know is kind of like I'm sick of saying the same thing over again, but like Utah wedding planner, it does. It needs to be here and then it needs to be in the other stuff too.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. When we look at traffic from paid advertising campaigns that are super cold audience,
Mm,
there's actually a lot of wedding businesses making huge mistakes with their advertising. They're targeting the wrong places, the wrong people,
yeah.
and people will click on those ads, and it goes to this website for a business that's nowhere near them. And so because of how bad the wedding industry is with advertising, a lot of couples who are like interacting with things online, like ads, are getting like, they're just like frustrated. So when your website doesn't say who you are and what you do, or where you're located and what you do immediately, they
Hmm.
think like, this is just another bad wedding business that is running ads to me, and like, and they get burned by it. So
Yeah,
making sure that your location and who and what you do is imperative at the top.
absolutely.
Awesome. Are today's couples behaving differently because of AI searches such as Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, and ChatGPT?
Okay, I love this because I was literally just at WIPA San Francisco and did a 45-minute presentation on this last week. So I will not give you my 45-minute presentation on this, but the answer is behaving behaving differently, kind of. So typically when they're searching on a AI search GEO, yes, because they're using longer form sentences. So they're using things like instead of like in Google, you're probably going to search like, I'm going to use San Francisco because that's literally where all my examples are, but like San Francisco wedding venue, right, is more of a Google search because we've been trained as humans, right? We've been trained that Google doesn't like too much stuff, right? We're like, Google wants short and simple. So, but someone instead in chat is going to be like, I'm getting married in San Francisco. I will have 50 guests at my wedding. I am looking for a property that has a really pretty garden feel, but is within close distance of local hotels because I have out of town guests. Like, what are my best options? My budget is this. They will use especially terms like my budget is this, which is why having pricing on your website is essential to getting found on these online searches for AI, especially. Because why would they not then add their budget? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they not then say, and my budget is, 50,000 for the venue? So they're using a bunch of keywords and word vomiting a little bit more to get found on an AI. So, how do we combat that? Not just with the homepage, but it's going to be things like having super clear items on your website, having headers throughout your website, but also creating content around those longer keywords, which is where blogging can come into play. Like, if you're a venue, you should have a blog that talks about local hotels that are near your venue that are great for intimate weddings. Like, think of because right now I can't tell you what they're searching for to find you on search. Like we don't have that ability yet with AI search like Google where I can find, how they're finding you. But I would just start to think about what type of couples are you getting and then just think about what would I search to do that. And if so, it can probably be a blog post, which can then hopefully get us in front of the search, the
I love it.
AI bots.
Shameless plug for my amazing team at the ID Society. ChatGPT just launched its ad platform 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
open to everyone, and it is fascinating what we're observing and seeing. I think it's going to be very different than Google search, as Adriana said. It's super conversational, and the path to like getting people to your website and quality people is really like it's TBD, but it's really cool because there's a whole other opportunity available for folks to reach people in a more conversational
I'm
way.
gonna have to like pick your brain on that because
Yeah,
I'm so curious, right? As a marketer, I'm like,
yeah,
how ads are going to change. I
yeah.
mean, everything it's going to change. So I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, it's so true.
and
Thanks
it's
for
all
your
new.
insight
We're
on
all
that.
like over here learning together. We're all like
Yeah,
trying to figure it out.
right? No shame. We
No,
all have blindfolds on, so yeah.
no.
Okay. Can you actually, Adriana, go back to the QR code just so we have that
Oh,
on the screen for our
yeah.
conversation? Because some folks they gotta
Yes.
run, they want the
I
QR code.
also posted
Awesome.
it in the chat for you guys to click on directly because I know, I don't know, QR code readers half the time, let's be honest.
Yeah, awesome.
Technology.
Okay. Let's say we're gonna conclude with what's someone's next step? Like, let's say that I'm overwhelmed by all this. Like, this is a lot. I'm doing my own website, or I'm going to give my website design to someone who's a friend and they're not necessarily in the industry. What would someone's next step be if they're going to DIY it? And then I have another
Mhm.
question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely if you're going to DIY it, I think the biggest thing is to think of simplicity is kind of key in these
Yeah.
situations, right? Like usually with home pages, there's almost too much stuff, or
Yep.
you just have nothing on your homepage and you just have one piece of text. So
Yep.
I would go through and like look at that structure and think like, okay, I can add a testimonial here. If you're too worried about things like the storytelling and stuff like that, because that sounds a little heavier because it involves writing and writing is not easy. Like I'm a writer and the amount of, you know how long it takes to make a single sentence? Longer than the whole
When
website.
it's your own business, it's
Yes.
awful. Yeah.
It's awful. Then ignore that. You have my
Yep.
permission. Focus on adding a testimonial and focus on making sure the images, the things that you can literally do in the next 20 minutes, is
Yep.
the most important than worrying about fluffy copy or things like that. As long as you literally have Utah Wedding Planner, some testimonial services, like you can keep it really simple right now. And
Hmm.
then if you decide to hire someone later or have a friend write it for you, or, maybe it comes to you in the shower one day and you're like, this is it. This is my
Write it
statement.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out of the
But
shower quick.
yeah, get out.
I literally, I've
Literally
gotten out
all
of the
the
shower
time.
because I'm like, if I don't do this, yeah,
But don't worry too much because I know anytime I'm like, right there, I know, I get it. But you're like, I don't want to
yeah,
write. So it's okay.
yeah,
Also, my trick for this is pull from your testimonials. Like use your chatty friend,
yeah,
use your little chatty GPT or Claude or whatever you feel good with using.
yeah.
Pull your top 20, however many testimonials you have, throw them into a little chatty and say, chatty. I call mine Sage. I don't use AI a ton, but when I do, I reference it as a human. It makes me feel better. And I'm like,
Mhm.
Sage, go through and I want you to pull out the top two or three things people say about me again and again.
Yep,
There you go. There's your headline because
it's
it's
amazing.
probably in your copy right there.
Yep. I love it. All right, there's a couple more questions in the chat. There's three more questions for Mark. Do you have 1 minute for wedding venues? Where are you seeing the highest quality of leads right now? This is an amazing question, and the answer to that is that when people are searching for a wedding venue, they look in multiple places multiple times. So with a wedding venue, if you're going to pay for ads or you're going to have a marketing plan, you have to show up in multiple places multiple times. One pitfall that venues often fall into is that they found out Google ads were really amazing for someone, so they just spend $400 a month on a Google ads campaign. That couple is searching on Google. They clicked on your ad. They went to your website. Google did its job, but that's just not how they shop. So they went back to Google because there's a whole list of venues for them. And reasonably, they went back there. So making sure that you're advertising on Google and Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, or Google and Meta and TikTok, so that they see you again and again and again. And there's no way to circumvent that long journey they take. It is what it is. So being on multiple platforms is the way to get the most quality leads because when they see you repeatedly, they click on that ad, they go to your website, they hear a little bit about your pricing, your story, they see the architecture of the venue, they see it multiple times, much higher quality leads and no wasted money when they see you again and again. So that's my soapbox. Sorry, we're gonna get
I
back
think
to
it's
Adriana,
great.
but
Yeah, I
like
love this
it's
stuff.
just the truth of how couples shop.
Yeah.
Adriana, do you have a recommended ratio of text to images to what text and
Ooh.
images to white space on the homepage?
So I like space as a designer. I'm not sure if I have an actual ratio because honestly, it's a feeling. I don't know how to explain it. As an artist, you're just like, it's a feeling. It feels good. On desktop, I would say whenever you're looking at it, keep in mind it's technically sections that you're seeing on the screen, right? So if that makes sense, like your screen is like, let's say you have a 13-inch Mac, like your screen is only this big. So we like to make sure things don't get cut off weird in sections. So sometimes we'll add some spacing or lose some spacing. But the biggest thing with spacing is sometimes people just forget that we're only seeing it in sections. And so really just making sure that the space works on the side and to also remember your couples are looking at it probably not from your 27-inch editing monitor. Whenever we send websites to clients, I'm like, don't look at this on your giant editing monitor because no one will look at it on a 42 plasma TV. Like they're looking at it on a 13-inch Mac. So just remember that a majority of people are going to look at it a little contained. And so just think about it in sections. And as you scroll, like just make sure you have I know that's not the best answer, but it really is a feeling, right? Like if things feel squished in this section, then maybe you need to space out a little bit to the
Yeah.
sides.
Can't I feel like you can't have enough white space. Yeah.
I mean, I think spacing is
Right?
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
I
true.
I think we need to give images and stuff to breathe. You really have
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What if you offer services in different counties, like Miami County, Broward County, Palm Beach, and where would you write that?
So, great question because we literally just launched a Miami one. So technically, Miami and Broward are considered kind of the same in Google's eyes right now in terms of search. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find out, are they actually different markets? Miami versus Palm Beach might be aesthetically, but SEO wise, are they different markets? So typically for your homepage, I would say like Miami and Palm Beach, like whatever you do and keep it simple. And then let's say you have those different markets like that other client who was South Carolina. I mean, that's Hilton Head is nothing like Florida Keys. Is then you would have individual landing pages for different types of clients. So you would have one that is Miami and whatever makes Miami different for you. And then you have another one for Palm Beach and whatever makes it different for you. This is also for my destination people who might shoot in different states, like in New England, where you essentially work in, you know, New York, Boston, like it's we'll usually have individual landing pages, and that's where we then keyword the strategy. Remember, your homepage doesn't need to say, you can just say New England in general. You can say Boston based photographer serving New England. Keep the main one where you are physically for Google, and then we can talk about
Yeah,
the regions later.
it's tricky business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's,
All right.
yeah, it's a whole different strategy when you're in more than one market. It's possible, but it's just a different strategy.
Last question here. We've got already got conversation. I love the
Ooh.
community conversation happening. As a new stationer, how do I handle the no testimonies yet issue?
I mean, I agree with Mary for sure. Ask people who you've worked with, friends, other vendors who you've done stuff. And definitely, like she mentioned, look up industry connections. Look up like your local, like WIPA, ILEA, NACE, local events that have like monthly or quarterly marketing events because they're always looking for members. Like join the group and then do the stationery for it. They're always looking for someone to do the stationery for these networking events. You get a testimonial, you get your work seen in front of people, but that's, I would say, you do that. And then also, like Mary mentioned, there's style shoot groups, like use your stationery, get it out there, and then ask people for their opinion on it.
Perfect. All right, so we're coming to a close. I have one more juicy question for Adriana, but before we ask that, a word from your sponsor, the I Do Society. The reason, if you missed it in the beginning, the reason why we host these events is because our focus at the I Do Society is paid advertising campaigns, Google ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads. We love being great at paid advertising and helping you turn your advertising dollars into quality leads for your business every day. So if you need help with any of those platforms, contact us, visit our website, theidosociety.com. We have lots of resources for people, whether it's doing it yourself or getting help and paying our team for help. And we just love doing it. We love being really good at it. But the reason we have folks like Adriana and do these live events is because advertising doesn't live alone. Like she just shared, in 1,000 different ways, your homepage is super, super important. So my last question for Adriana is, how can people work with you and find out, like, if they don't want to DIY and they feel overwhelmed, how can they get in touch and work with you?
I have to just quickly say Mark and his team are the best at the ads. If you come to Ava and the B and you're like, who do you add? Like, I just sent you that. I just sent you to Mark and their team. Like
Thank
that,
you.
that's I'm like, they do great. So they're the ones I recommend for sure. And I'm not just saying that because you have me here. I genuinely think you guys are the best and the kindest
Thank
of
you.
all the people. So you can come hang out with me on Instagram at Ava and the Bee, or avaandthebee.com, but I'm on Instagram all the time. If you want me to just look at your homepage, send it to me in the DMs on Instagram and I'll like voice memo you my honest gut
I
thoughts and tell you what I
love
think.
that.
Yeah, come send it to me.
Tell it like
I
it is.
yeah, like I don't really watch TV. I read books. So give me something to do tonight. Like seriously, entertain me tonight. I'm gonna be doing inventory for my boyfriend tonight. Send me your homepage. I want to look at it.
That's awesome. That's actually a really amazing offer. That thank you for offering that to people who
Yeah.
are here because truly, to have an outside perspective on your website is gold. We are all way too close to our own business to see it for what it is because all of the information lives in our head and it's just there. But people who don't know anything about you, and especially an expert like Adriana, to look at your website is gold. So please do that. I hope that you flood her DMs and she has no time to
Yeah.
respond to anything else.
I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Thank
Can't wait to
you.
see your guys'
Thank you.
homepages.
All right, Adriana, thank you so much for being here. Thanks everyone for joining today. Um, have a great day and take what Adriana did and like write down your one next step. Whether that's DMing her or whether that's doing something DIY, write down that next step and make a plan to get it done sometime this week. Spend 15 minutes doing it. No pressure. Take that next step. That's the best thing you can do after this meeting. Thank you so much, Adriana. Thanks everyone.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're out.